When you are in your own shoes, you're anchored to your own emotions. So when you physically move, it's like you're leaving that place and you're moving and you're able to adopt another point of view. So physically moving is mandatory in perceptual positions. You cannot do it standing in one place. It does not work. So couple of rules that you have to follow for this to work is, one, don't think of it logically and ask stupid questions like, how does it work? Okay. There are so many things on earth that we don't understand. Our subconscious mind is super powerful. Many of you have done this process before. You know how powerful it is. Okay. So you got to have trust and complete faith in the process and say, okay, when I leave myself behind, I become the wise person. Second thing that you need to remember while doing the perceptual positions is that you got to get into that state. You got to give yourself some time to get into the state. So when you stand in the wise person's place, you leave yourself behind. When you move your hands like this, you leave yourself behind. You stand in the wise person's place. Take a breath and feel that wisdom. Imagine yourself to be somebody with all the resources. It's important to get into that state for those insights to flow. Similarly, when you step into the other person's shoes also, getting into state is very important. So if that person is an aggressive person, just stand like that person, use your body language. Just imagine yourself becoming that person. If you're stepping into a child's shoe, become like a child, stand like that child. It's a scared child, become a scared child. So you got to use your body and get into state for it to start flowing. Identify one situation or one person. Situation can be, lately you had a certain conflict with a team member or somebody and you want to understand that person better, or you had a showdown with your child and you want to understand your child better. It can be anybody. Okay, pick one person or situation, or let's say you have no conflicts anybody, then pick one person who you want to understand better. You just want to step into their shoe and you want to know how that person's feeling. Okay, next what you're going to do is you'll have to stand and do this process. So you'll be standing in one place as yourself. You'll imagine the other person standing opposite to you. So if you take one step diagonally like this, you turn around, you'll be able to see both. That's going to be the wise person's place. And you take another big step, you're going to go into the other person's place. So I'm going to guide you all through the process. You will need a pen and a paper in your hand to write down perspectives in every zone. Stand well grounded, have a notepad and a pen in your hand, and imagine the other person opposite to you. You're standing well grounded in your place and you're imagining the other person opposite to you. I want you to visualize that person as that person usually is. How does that person walk? How does that person talk? How does that person communicate, sit? How does the person do everything? And how does this person communicate with you? Just become aware of how this person communicates with you and how that makes you feel. And as and when you're ready, you don't have to always have your eyes closed. Whenever the perceptions are flowing, you can choose to gently open your eyes, write down your notes. Okay. Then you can again close your eyes. So you can continuously do that. As you're thinking, close your eyes. And when insights come, you can open your eyes and you can write down. So as you're watching this person, imagining this person opposite to you, write down how this person makes you feel, how this person behaves. What if there is anything about this person you don't like, write that down. Write down the different demands or behavior that this person has that makes you angry or uncomfortable, right? Whatever perspectives, your own perspectives about what is happening in this situation. That's right. Observe that person's body language, tone of voice, words that person uses. And why do you think this person behaves the way they behave? You might have a certain perception about why this person behaves the way they behave. Write that down as well. And think of all the things you have done up till now to make things better. You might have taken certain actions, you might have done certain things, you might have said certain things to make things better. So write that down as well. What, according to you, is happening in this situation? And how does that other person make you feel? That's right. Imagine the other person and write down as the perspectives flow. Allow your subconscious mind to give you the perspectives. You don't even need to think too much. It's just going to flow. And all you need to do is write down all the thoughts that are flowing. All the things that make you unhappy or give you discomfort or make you angry or frustrated or helpless, any disempowering emotions that this person makes you feel, write that down as well. Write things as they are. If this person makes you happy and does those things, write that down as well. Your attempt is to figure out what you currently think about this person and what this person currently makes you feel. As you're now written down your own perspectives, more or less you now have an idea about what you think in this situation, or what are your beliefs, or what you are feeling in this situation and how that other person is making you feel. It's time now to step away from yourself so that you can look at the situation better. So I want you to now look on your right where there is this wise person's place. I want you to, with purpose, leave yourself, use your hands and leave yourself behind. Take a big step and step into the wise person's place. Take a big step and purposefully step into the wise person's place. And as soon as you come to this place, you're able to see that first person and the second person, the other person in front of you, these two people in front of you, and you are now the wise person. You have within you all the resources that you ever need. You're a completely unbiased, wise person. You are a person who is able to look at a situation from outside and more or less figure out what is happening in that situation. So as you look at these two people in front of you, I want you to write down what you think is happening in this situation between these two people. Look at person number one. How does person number one talk, behave, speak, communicate? What does person number one do? And also look at person number two, the other person. How does that person talk, behave? And try and understand the dynamics of the situation from outside. From a completely unbiased, wise perspective, what do you think is actually happening in this situation? Allow the perspectives to flow, remain in that wise, strong, powerful state. And if you feel that as a wise person, you have any suggestions or any advices that you would like to give person one or the other person, you can choose to do that as well. But even as the wise person, keep your focus on person number one, because you want person number one to grow and thrive and break free from their limitations. So especially look at person one and give any advices or suggestions or solutions that might come to your mind. That is right. That's right. New ideas and solutions come naturally to you. You know that the only way to be is to be creative and to look at things from different perspectives. And you're now looking at this situation in front of you in a wise, unbiased, completely fresh, new perspective. That's right. And now, as you have had an opportunity to look at the situation from the wise person's shoes, leave the wise person behind and move purposefully now and become the other person. Use your hands, leave the wise person behind and become the other person. And as you step into the other person's shoes, get into that state, become that person, feel like that person, allow your mind and your body, your thoughts become that person. You are now that other person with their beliefs, their values, their upbringing, their background, their ways of behavior. You are that person now. Allow yourself, give yourself some time to sink into the state of that other person. Imagine being that person with that background, that upbringing, that education, those problems that that person has had. Imagine yourself, you are now that other person. And as you become this other person now, look at the first person from your eyes. As the other person, look at the first person. And now write down, as the other person, how does the first person make you feel? Look at the first person's body language, the first person's tone of voice, the words that this person chooses to use. How does this person move? How does this person behave? Observe keenly the first person. And mainly, how does the first person make you feel? How does the first person make you feel? Write that down. Also, what are your needs as the other person? What do you need? What are the main things that you are after in life? What makes you happy? As the other person, what makes you contented? Why do you behave the way you behave? What do you believe about life or about yourself or about the first person? Why do you behave the way you behave? What are your needs? Is it a need for attention, a need for love, or need for space, or need for clarity? What are your needs as the other person that's making you behave the way you do? And how can the other person meet your needs better so you can change? How can the other person meet your needs so that you can change? What do you want the other person to do? What do you want the first person to change for you to feel better, for you to start behaving differently? What are your complaints about the first person? Become aware of all these things, and as your subconscious mind gives you all these perspectives, just write them down. Allow it to flow and write them down. That is right. Allow it to flow and just write them down. Every piece of information that you're getting, every perspective is valuable. Keenly observe person number one. Your role here as the other person is to look at person number one, visualize person number one, and figure out how is that person behaving, their tone of voice, body language, facial expressions, choice of words. That's right. And as you have now observed the other person, the first person, being in the shoes of the other person, and you know now what the other person wants, why the other person behaves, you have some perspective now about why the other person behaves the way they behave. It's time for you to now leave behind the other person, and whenever you're ready, you can now leave that intentionally using your hands. Whenever you're ready, push that other person, leave that other person behind. You don't want to take any of their behaviors, leave that person behind and step into the wise person. Become the wise person again. That's right. Become the wise person again. And you're now again the wise person. Allow yourself to get into that state of the being the wise person. And you're now able to see again the first person and the other person in front of you. You're able to see this from a totally unbiased, wise perspective. Allow yourself to get into that state, knowing that you have within you all the resources that you ever need as a person. That is right. Knowing that you have within you all the resources that you ever need, the wisdom, the courage. You can see this situation from outside and you can figure out what is happening. And this time, as the wise person, you have seen both their perspectives. You have been in both their shoes. So as you look at both of them from a completely unbiased perspective, what do you think is actually happening over here? And mainly, if you can come up with solutions or advices that the person one can do, what would you suggest this person to do? You can come up with ideas and suggestions and advices for person number one. And what needs to happen for person number two or the other person to change? As a wise person, what do you think needs to happen for person number two to change? Look at the situation totally from the outside, from a completely wise, unbiased perspective. Knowing that you have within you all the answers and all the resources. You have the wisdom within you to come up with solutions and to look at things as they are and know what is the right thing to do. That is right. Allow your thoughts to flow and just keep writing them down. as they come. You don't need to think about it. You just need to write down as the thoughts flow. That's right. And it's very clear to you about what needs to be done, what needs to be changed, and how the situation can be solved to come up with some kind of a win-win situation. As a wise person, you can see that sometimes things need to be accepted. Sometimes things need to be changed. And whatever your wise advice is, you can give it to these people. Write it down as your thoughts flow. That's right. And as you have now had the opportunity to look at the situation from outside as the wise person, feeling excited to step back into the first person, because all your control, all your power to make a change lies with the first person. So I want you to now remember that you can always step into this wise zone again anytime in the future and get more and more perspectives. And even when you step back into person number one, the wise person will continue talking through you. You're going to take the wisdom back with you. And as you sleep today, as you dream today, more and more ideas and more resources are going to come to you. So I want you to now leave the wise person, but don't leave the wisdom. Leave the wise person gently, but take along the wisdom, take the wisdom with you and come back to your position. Come back to person number one. That's right. And as you're back to person number one, you can come back to your workstations now. Come back to your workstations now. And this time I want you to quickly look at all the notes that you have written down and figure out what are the new perspectives that you have gained through this process.